Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the STEM Digital School. Okay, this is grade 5 Natural Sciences and Technology. Right, so my name is Onkarageze Setswe, and today we will be doing term 1 revision on life and living. So guys, just as the host has said, do not switch on your videos, right? Do not switch on your videos. You can raise your hand and then we'll unmute your mic. But the videos, please, do not switch them on. And someone said they won Kahoot on Friday. Yes, so Friday we're playing Kahoot, and yeah, I can't remember who the winners were, but sure, it was a nice and fun game, and we will play again this coming Friday. All right, so guys, as mentioned last week, that we will be doing revision. So guys, this week from the 13th until the 17th, we will be doing a revision for term 1 as well as term 2. Okay, see. Sumaya says, hi, I am new. Okay, welcome, Sumaya. Welcome. Then you can just join us in, all right? And then from the 13th to the 17th, we'll be doing revision for term 1 as well as term 2. And then on the week of the 20th, right, until the 24th, we'll be having an assessment or test week. Okay, so guys, with regards to the assessment as well as the test, I will communicate to you guys further details as we go throughout the week. But for now, we will be doing revision. Okay, so guys, just gather your textbooks, your notes, your highlighters, your pens, pencils, and let us get into the work of the day. Right, so we'll be looking at plants and animals on Earth. So I believe that you guys did this topic at school, all right? So just get your books, pens, notebooks, and all of that in front of you and be ready to answer questions. Okay, guys, just another thing, the group chat, please do not have conversations which are not with regards to what we are doing or what we are covering right now in class. Okay, so can we please not have conversations about things we are not covering in class? Okay, so the Lion Kings and the that I'm seeing right now, can they please stop? Okay, and let us all focus and learn. Okay. Right, so first off, we have mentioned, or rather you guys have been taught that we have many different plants as well as animals. Because I see Sumaya says, ma'am, my name is Akila. All right, Akila, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Okay, Sumaya, I hope I remember your name. But next time when you log in, you can also put in your name, né? Right. So guys, each animal and plant naturally chooses where it wants to live, and we refer to that place where an animal or a plant naturally chooses to live as its habitat. So I hope you guys remember this from class, that a place where an animal or a plant naturally lives is called a habitat. And we can identify different types of habitats on Earth, such as, so we have 4 types of habitats, and I need at least 3 or 2 of you guys to give me those 4 types of habitats that we find on Earth. So you can raise your hand and then I will unmute your mic, or alternatively, you can write it in the group chat. The 4 types or the different types of habitats that we find on Earth. So I will need everyone to participate. Yeah. The 4 or the different types of habitats that we find on Earth. Okay, Lesedi's hand is up. Sishengi, I also see your hand. All right, Lesedi.
Ma'am, there's the aquatic,
The
grassland,
aquatic, grassland,
forest, and
forest and
I'm still thinking.
okay, no problem. Okay, so let me give others a chance. Then maybe they can help you with the last one.
Okay, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much, Lesedi, for your answer. Yeah, see, Shengi's hand is also up. Shengi,
A river habitat.
excuse me?
A river habitat.
A river habitat.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, so do you know any other habitat besides a river habitat?
Grassland habitat.
Okay, a grassland habitat. Thank you very much for that, Shengi.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, so do you have any other answer from anyone else who can give us the different types of habitats which are found on Earth? The different types of habitats found on Earth. We can just add on to what Shengi as well as Lesedi mentioned. So I see Koto says soil. Okay, thank you very much for the answer, Koto. Anyone else? Last person before I give you guys the answers. The different types of habitats that we find on Earth. Okay, so Koso also says water. All right, Dante, wow, I didn't expect that one. Dante says home, all right, and that is also true. Okay, so guys, the different types of habitats that we identify on Earth. So again, Dante, remember, we are working with plants as well as animals. Okay, working with plants as well as animals. It's aquatic. So when you speak of an aquatic habitat, we are speaking about water. All right, so aquatic refers to water. I think it's Hengi who said the river. So river would fall under aquatic. Okay. And then we have the desert. So let's say this is the one that you missed. It was desert. Yeah? The desert is the one that you were looking for. And then we have a grassland habitat, and we also have a forest. Okay, so we're going to look at these 4 types of habitats and also look at the animals that live in such habitats. All right, so Dante, you are not far off the mark, but yeah, we are looking at plants as well as animals. And some animals call the aquatic home, some call the desert home, and some call the grassland and forest home. Okay. Right, so here we have an example of the starfish, which is found in rock pools along the coast. So if you guys live near the coast, I'm sure you have seen a starfish, or if you have visited the coast, then you would know of the starfish. Okay, so let us move right along. Okay, so the aquatic, we have 2 main kinds of aquatic habitats. The first one is the marine, and this is where we find salt water. So it's marine habitat and it is salt water. Dante says, ma'am, are starfish living? Yes, starfish are living. Okay, so they are alive. And the other kind of the aquatic is a freshwater habitat. Okay, so I'm going to need examples of animals that live in the aquatic. Examples of animals that live in the aquatic. You can write them in the group chat or alternatively raise your hand. Okay, I see Kukrano says fish. All right, thank you very much. Kukrano also says sharks. Anyone else? Anyone? Anybody? Okay, I also see Kwatso who says sharks. Let's say he says whales. Okay, let's hear what Akila has to say. Akila?
The blue whale.
The blue whale. All right. Can you think of anything else?
No.
Okay, not yet. No problem. But thank you very much for that answer, right?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, boo. Okay, so I see most of you guys are saying what? The whales, shark, swordfish, salmon, cods, the killer whales. All right, beautiful guys. So those are all examples of animals that live in the sea or in the ocean. So here we also have dolphins, which are also found in the aquatic, all right, that live in an aquatic habitat. So all these animals, all right, these are animals that live in water. Okay, and we find a lot of species of fish or different fish which are found in the aquatic. Okay, so let us move on to the next habitat that we have, which is the desert. Okay, so I'm going to need some of you guys to actually tell me more about the desert. If we speak about a desert, how does a desert look like? You know, how can we characterize a desert? So I need you guys to raise your hand, or you can type in the group chat. How would you characterize a desert? Or is there any other information that you guys can give me about the desert? So Dante says the desert is sunny and continues to say that it is windy as well as hot. Koto says it's a dry place. And Dante adds on to say that it only has sand. Kopano says it is very hot. Okay. Right. So guys, indeed, Kopano also says there's, oh, sorry, Nelly. Sorry, my bad. Nelly says that there is no water. Okay. Kutlano says most deserts have no clouds. All right. And Dante says 0% of water. So let's hear what Akila has to add on to what you guys have said. Right, Akila?
Hello, ma'am. A desert is
Mm-hmm.
hot and dry, and there's hardly any water.
All right, beautiful. Thank you very much for that answer.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so Lisady also says it's a place with sand only and gets rain approximately every 10 years. Okay, right. So guys, that is true. And let us look at what we have for summary of the desert. Okay, so what I have is that deserts are areas with a very low rainfall each year. Okay, so it has a very low rainfall, right? And as Lisedi mentioned, that the rain may even come every other 10 years. Okay, so the desert may look dry, but there are many different plants as well as animals which are suited to live in these areas. And can you guys give me examples of animals or plants which live in deserts or which we can find in a desert? Okay, Koto says the kangaroo. Dante says the llamas. Do we have any other answer? Kutana says 2% chances of rain in the desert. Yebo. And Dante also says rabbits. Then we have Lisedi who says box. Bok. Bok. All right. So he's saying it's a buck. All right, so let's see. Aquila says a horse. So guys, here we have an example of a desert. This is the Namibian desert. As you guys can see from the picture, that it looks fairly dry and it looks like there's no life, but there is actually life. As you can see, we have like some animals there, probably bugs, right? Yeah, they look like bugs and it's quite dry. These are the type of plants also that we get in the desert. Okay, and these are what we call succulent plants. So these succulent plants actually trap water or store water in their leaves, and hence they are so thick and can survive in the desert for plus minus 10 years without dying because they have stored the water in their thick leaves. All right. Then we have another example of an animal which we find in the deserts, and it is a jackal. All right. Okay, so grassland habitat. Who can tell us more about a grassland habitat? When we're speaking of grassland habitat, or what are we talking about? Guys can raise your hand, or you can use the group chat to send through your answers. So Nelly says it's so dry. Are you saying the grassland is dry, Nelly? Okay, Gudana says deserts have cat. Okay, I think you wanted to write cactus. Okay. Yes, Gudana, deserts have cactus, and those are types of plants which have succulent leaves. All right. So guys, my question to you was, who can tell us more about the grassland habitat? Can read me your notes that you have in front of you with regards to a grassland habitat, or what you have learned in school about a grassland habitat. Okay, so Dante says they are predators. There is animals that's slingy. See, Lesedi's hand is up. Let's hear what Lesedi has to say. Yes, Lesedi.
A grassland habitat is a place with very low vegetation, with the big animals living there.
With the
Big animals
big
like
animals,
that
all right.
living there. Yeah, that's all I have now for now.
All right, thank you very much, Lesedi. So I hope everyone heard what Lesedi said. All right. Okay, so I see Shengi's hand is also up. Let's hear what Shengi has to tell us about the grassland. Shengi?
Grassland has a little bit of water, so the animals can drink.
All right, beautiful. So we have an increase of rainfall in the grassland as compared to the desert. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. So let's see if we have more answers in the group. Kukuano says grasslands have dry grass. That is correct. And then Dante says like lions, cheetahs, and hyenas. I believe he's saying that the animals that we find in grasslands. And Kukuano says it rains 70% of the time. So guys, grasslands are covered in grass with very few trees. So that is how you would distinguish between a grassland as well as a desert. Grassland has few trees, but it is covered with grass. And as soon as the first rainfall comes through, the grass grows incredibly fast and new plants would sprout all over. Okay, so these are the facts that I have on a grassland. So you guys can add on to the notes that you already have. As you said, that grasslands are covered with grass and very few trees. And here we have an example of the zebras, which or rather are found on the grassland. And you guys can see the grass here because the zebras, they also feed on the grass. Okay. So Dante says, ma'am, why do lions kill springboks? So lions are what we call predators, okay? And lions are also called carnivores. And carnivores, we know that they eat meat, right? So they only feed on meat, and that is why they kill the springboks, because that is their food or their prey, okay? And then Uganda says they have zebras too. Yes, that is correct. And then Nelly, sorry. Nelly also says, yeah, that is what I said. Okay. All right. Let us continue. A forest habitat. Who is willing to tell us more about a forest habitat? Can raise your hand or you can put the facts that you have in the group. Okay, I see Shengi. Yes,
But
Shengi.
a forest has a lot of trees and it is dangerous.
The forests are dangerous.
And Some of the snakes live in the forest.
All right. Okay, so Shengi, I have another question for you, ne? Shengi?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you said that forests have a lot of trees. What is the function of the trees in the forest?
Ma'am, can you repeat the question?
What is the function of the trees that are found in the forest?
To make shade. To make shades.
To make shade, okay. What else?
And to bear fruits.
To bear fruits. All right. Thank you very much for that, Shengi, and that is correct. Ne? The trees also create shade and shelter for animals which are in the forest. Okay, so guys, I'm just going to ask this question again to some of you, just to add on to the answers that Shengi gave me. What is the other functions of the tree in the forest? What is the other function of the trees in the forest? So Shengi said to make food, right? And she also mentioned shade. And I see in the group Dante said shelter. Koto says the forest has many trees and wild animals. That is correct. And Kukano says forest rains 80% of the time. So we have a high rainfall in the forest. That's true. Okay, so let's say he's saying that the trees are for fruits. Okay, so guys, remember, ne? Trees also photosynthesize. You guys know about this term, right? Photosynthesis. Trees photosynthesize, they take in carbon dioxide and they release oxygen. Okay, so that is another function of the trees which we find in the forest. Okay. All right, so let's see. So a forest is a large area that is mostly covered in trees. Forests are extremely important to life on Earth. And then the many trees clean the air and provide oxygen for animals on Earth to breathe. So this is what I mentioned about trees having the ability to photosynthesize. I see someone said I should go slower. I don't know, do you want me to go back to a slide or, but no problem, I will go a bit slower. Ne? I will go a bit slower. So the many trees clean the air and provide oxygen for the animals on Earth to breathe. Okay. And here we have an example of a forest. This is in Keiksna, I think. I hope I pronounced it correctly. I think it's in the Northern Cape forest and one of South Africa's few indigenous forests. And here we also have an elephant which is found in that particular forest. Okay. Okay, so guys, interdependence in an ecosystem. What is an ecosystem? Just to start off there. What is an ecosystem? Or what is meant when we talk about an ecosystem? So remember, you guys need to know your terminology. Ne? What is an ecosystem? You can raise your hand or you can type it in the group. Because Dante is asking a question saying, ma'am, what will happen when we don't have trees? Will it be like space when we don't have a mosque? Okay, so if we don't have trees available to us, we'd have an increase of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So remember that trees take in carbon dioxide and release, or rather they clean the air. Ne? They take in the carbon dioxide and release oxygen so that life on Earth can continue. A lot of living things on Earth, animals as well as humans, they require oxygen to live, right? So if there is no clean oxygen, we would probably die and be extinct as humans. Okay. Sorry, Koto, I will go slower. I'm sorry about that. Ne? Okay, awesome. So Dante, you got your answer. And guys, I asked, what is an ecosystem? as you guys can follow in your textbooks, that the next subtopic just after the habitats is interdependence in an ecosystem. And I want to know from you guys what an ecosystem is before we look at interdependence in an ecosystem. What is an ecosystem? What is an ecosystem? Guys, all of you don't know what an ecosystem is. I need an answer from you guys. So what is an ecosystem? Raise your hand if you have an answer, or you can type it in the group chat. Okay, Dante, thank you. The ecosystem is the circle, excuse me, of life. Lesedi says it's a community or place for living things. All right, so Dante says it's a circle of life. And then Lesedi says it's a community or place for living things. And what do the others have to say about an ecosystem? What is an ecosystem? Akila, Oratile, Kando, Queen of Doritos, what is an ecosystem? And the king and queen as well as the prince of yeah, that particular snack. What is an ecosystem? Amanda, what is an ecosystem? I need you guys to participate, né? So that I am sure that you are following and you understand the word. It seems like I am not getting another response with regards to defining an ecosystem. Né? So guys, I'm just gonna tell you guys the definition of an ecosystem. Né? It is a community of living things. So you guys can just write it down. An ecosystem is a community of living things that depend on and interact with each other and the non-living things in their different habitats. So I hope everyone got that definition, because I don't think it is on the slides. Okay, so if you do need me to repeat it again, just mention it for me, and then I will repeat what an ecosystem is. All right. So guys, as I said, if we are talking about interdependence in an ecosystem, we mean that all the living and non-living things that are in that particular area are dependent on each other to survive. All right, so let's see the notes that we have on interdependence is that all living and non-living things depend on each other. And then, okay, Khotso and Akila says I should repeat. All right, so an ecosystem is a community. An ecosystem is a community of living things that depend on, comma, of living things that depend on, comma, and interact with each other and the non-living things. So guys, I'm also going to write it in the group now. So if you missed it, then you can just find it in the group. So we ended up on living things, and you can continue to write in their different habitats. In their different habitats. Okay, so you guys can also get the definition in the group. Dando, you said you having difficulty in hearing me. You can get the definition in the group now. Okay, so that's the definition of an ecosystem. I also wrote it down in the group. So guys, let's just go back to interdependence in the ecosystem. We said that all living and non-living things depend on each other. Then the interdependence in an ecosystem between living things is how animals as well as plants are interdependent, meaning that they depend on each other for certain things. For example, the plant will need a carbon dioxide that the animal breathes out, okay, in order to make its food. Then the animal needs the oxygen that the plant forms in order to survive, all right? So that is what we mean by interdependence. So the interdependence in an ecosystem between living and non-living things, and we are going to look at it in a deeper detail. So this is interdependence between living things, all right? So when we're looking at interdependence between living things, there is interdependence and feeding, all right? So can you guys give me an example of interdependence and feeding? Remember we said that these animals and plants which are found in a particular area, they depend on each other, right? And when we say they depend on each other, they can depend on each other for food, they can depend on each other for shelter, or they can depend rather on each other for growth as well as reproduction. So can you guys give me an example of how animals and plants would depend on each other for food? And that is what we mean by interdependence and feeding. Give me an example of how animals or plants would depend on each other for food. Remember, you can raise your hand or you can use the group to write your answer. Okay, so Dante says they help each other. How? How do they help each other, Dante? Dante says animals like a cow depend on a plant for food. That is correct. Koto says kill animals for food. Who kills the animals, Koto? Who kills the animals? Okay, see, Lesedi's hand is up. Let us hear. Lesedi?
Ma'am,
Yebo.
some animals eat plants for energy and food.
All right. And what are those animals called?
Omnivores.
The animals that eat plants are called omnivores.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
And the animals that eat meat
Carnivores.
and the animals that eat both plants and meat.
Ma'am, I'm not sure.
All right. So remember, Lesedi, the animals that eat both plants and meat are called omnivores. All right.
Oh.
And then the ones that eat plants are called herbivores.
Okay. Sorry for the mistake.
No problem. We are all learning, né?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I also wanted to include the fact that when some animals die buried, and the plants get the nutrients from the bones and stuff.
All right, that is beautiful. So we also have decomposers, right?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much, Lesedi, for that answer. Okay, so I see Akila also has her hand up. Akila,
Hello, ma'am.
how are you?
I'm fine, ma'am. The animals, they depend on, let's say, the leader of the group, the leader of the pack. They they depend on them to like they depend on them to get to keep them safe and healthy and eat food and get them food. Or the mother or the father goes and gets food for the baby.
All right. So I like that last part where you're saying that they depend on a leader to get food. So these animals would probably go hunting for the babies in order for the babies to eat. So Shengi, I'll ask you the question pertaining to the next part. Okay, you can keep your hand up. All right. So we said that herbivores eat plants. All right. So remember, plants are living things as well as the herbivores. And then carnivores eat the animals that eat the plants. Then we also have omnivores, which eat plants and animals. All right. So Koso said lions kill animals for food. That is correct. Lions are carnivores, and we also refer to them as predators. All right. And I think we have an example there. Here we have an example of a herbivore eating plants. All right. Then the next type of interdependence we have is also on feeding, okay? But on this next one, we are looking at plants, okay? So how are plants interdependent on feeding? How are plants interdependent on feeding? So Kaprana says they are not. Okay, wait, guys, just hold on. This next section, or rather number 2, was supposed to be interdependence and pollination. All right. So the second one is not interdependence and feeding, it should be pollination. All right, so just stretch out the feeding and write pollination. Okay, so my question would be, how does interdependence and pollination go hand in hand? Right, so I need you guys to explain to me how interdependence and pollination go hand in hand. So guys, it's not feeding, eh? Just scratch the feeding out and write pollination. And I need examples of interdependence and pollination. Okay, not feeding, pollination, because we have just covered interdependence and feeding. Okay. Who can tell us about interdependence and pollination? So guys, I've also wrote it in the group. Okay, so just fix the number 2. It is not feeding, it is pollination. How are plants dependent on animals to be pollinated, or how are plants dependent on any other factor to be pollinated? Guys can raise your hand or you can write in the group. Interdependence and pollination. Interdependence and pollination. Guys, give me an example of interdependence and pollination. Guys, did you cover this in school or did you cover this previously? Because you guys are like so quiet. It's worrying me. You guys understand this topic? Or should we go through it in greater detail? Do you guys understand the topic or should we go through it in greater detail? You can just use the yes and no answer. And you can use the yes and no answer. Yes, we should go through it in greater detail, or no, we know the topic. You are just quiet because, yeah. Okay, so I see Lesedi says, when bees take male games to females. All right, so Lesedi, I'll need you to explain further what you mean by that. So Dante says yes, and I see 2 more people also says yes. You guys need me to go through it in greater detail. All right. So I assumed that you guys knew this because you did it in class or while you were still going to school, and hence the quick revision. Okay. All right. So guys, I will share with you some notes, okay, that go into greater detail. So no problem. So guys, when we speak about interdependence and pollination, plants depend on animals for pollination, right? So remember, for example, plants would have a way to attract pollinators, okay? So this includes the plants having nectar, a special smell, or having brightly colored flowers in order to attract the pollinators, okay? And these pollinators will basically function to develop a new plant, right, or to pollinate the plant, all right, so that reproduction of the plant can take place. Okay, so animals that pollinate flowers are called pollinators, and then plants use different methods to attract pollinators, as mentioned. And here we have the bees, which were attracted to this plant probably because of its nectar. All right. Okay, so let us move on to our third example of interdependence in an ecosystem is interdependence and seed dispersal. Okay, so when we talk about interdependence as well as seed dispersal, we are referring to the following. Plants need to have their seeds spread over a wide area. Okay, so if all the seeds fall in one spot, the plants that grow will not have enough water, soil, or sunlight to grow properly, right? If all the seeds fall in one spot, the plants that grow will not have enough water, soil, or sunlight to grow properly. Okay, guys, so it seems like we will need to go through this again tomorrow, all right? And so that you guys just basically understand everything in greater detail, because I see some of you guys are struggling with it and you are actually requesting that I go slower. So yeah, not a problem, Koto. So can I move on from the slide? Can I move from the slide? Just indicate for me. You can use the yes button or the no button. Or you can just type yes in the group chat. Okay, I see a no. All right, no problem. Okay, Kenji says yes, Dante says yes. Can I get 2 more yeses so I can move on? Okay, I see a yes from Miss AB. Okay, so it seems like time is also not on our side. Right, so let me just see what was the next slide. Okay, so we were going to start on interdependence between living and non-living things, and we will continue with it tomorrow, all right? So we will continue on this slide tomorrow. So guys, for tomorrow, because I see that you guys are struggling with this topic, I will need you guys to revise this topic again. All right. So revise this topic that we were looking at now, and also look at animals and skeletons, as well as skeletons as structures. All right. So you guys need to revise these 3 topics for tomorrow, and I need you to be prepared. You see the last bullet says you are required to make summaries, notes on the topics, as well as subtopics, and you will share with us in class tomorrow. Okay. So guys, make sure that you understand ecosystems. Make sure that you understand the difference between your vertebrates and your invertebrates, interdependence that happens in an ecosystem. All right. So just learn everything, those 3 topics for tomorrow, and come prepared. Okay. So guys, these are some of the textbooks that we used to prepare for the lesson. Like I said, the Via Africa textbook, you can get it on Snaplify, and the Siavula textbook, you can get it on the Thunderbolts Kids website. And guys, if you do have any questions, just email the school at stemdigitalschool@africateengeeks.co.za, or you can email me on onkarabetse.setso@gmail.com. If you need me to send you slides, or you have questions, or you're struggling with something, then guys, do send an email. All right, do send an email. And Tando, yes, please do check your network. Ne? Guys, again, remember, ne, please revise these topics. The ones that we did today, animals and skeletons, as well as skeletons as structures. Right, so thank you very much, guys. Have a beautiful day further. Goodbye.